Trying to install MySQL old-fashioned way is like trying to build a spaceship with a duct tape and hoping for the best. But what if I told you there is much easier way? With Docker, setting up MySQL is as simple as just pressing the button. No rocket science required. Stick around and I will show you how we can launch MySQL without those headaches. So without further delay, let's get started. First, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna install the MySQL in Linux environment without Docker. So MySQL without Docker. So we'll have a MySQL without Docker and we will have a MySQL with the Docker and we're gonna see the difference, right? Let's say with Docker. And then we can see which one is best for us. I can guarantee that MySQL with Docker is best because you can move around your Docker container here and there if you need to move. That's why we're gonna focus on MySQL with the Docker in this series more. So anyway, I'm gonna make a draw here or I'm gonna make a straight draw so it looks good. I cannot make a straight line. Anyway, also gonna change the color so it looks good. White. Also, let's say white. Now, first we're gonna see how we gonna install MySQL on our Ubuntu machine and in our AWS cloud. We're gonna use AWS cloud, so it's easier for us to actually build. So what we need, right? What we need for this case to install MySQL in the AWS. So what we need, I'm gonna go down a little down here. We need a server, right? AWS server, right? AWS server. We also call it a instance, right? Instance or machine, whatever you like to call, this is gonna be our server, right? And this is the server we're gonna have in our AWS, and the server known as instance, machine, server, whatever you like to call, right? And in that server, what we need to have, we need gonna install what? Linux. So Linux is our operating system. In our case, we're gonna have Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu Linux. Let's say Ubuntu. And this is our operating system. Ubuntu is our operating system. Now what else we need? We need MySQL, right? We need to install MySQL inside Ubuntu, right? So to install MySQL in Ubuntu, we need MySQL installation, right? We're gonna have a MySQL. First thing first, we're going to have a what? MySQL. Let me make another box in the over here, right? And let's say this is the operating system, and what we need? MySQL. With just MySQL, it's not good. It's not enough for us to see the data, visualize the data and modify the data, right? It's going to be very hard for us to use the command line interface to access the database and create the database. What if we have something graphical user interface to modify and then make those databases? Well, that's when we need a PHP myadmin, right? PHP myadmin. So PHP myadmin is let's say PHP. So what we need? We need to have our machine. In that machine, we're gonna install what? Install our operating system, right? Let's make it smaller. Inside that, we'll have our MySQL and our PHP myadmin, right? So MySQL is the database and PHP myadmin will be our what? Our graphical user interface to see the database. One other thing we need the Apache server. So Apache is looks like the Apache icon is not there, so I'm gonna just write it down as Apache. Why we need Apache? Because we are hosting our database and we would like to see it, right? To visualize the database, the user to access this database from the PHP myadmin, we need a server configuration package, and that package is called PHP, the Apache, right? So these three things need in order to actually set up the MySQL in our environment, and our environment is just Ubuntu environment, right? What else we need? And to access this machine, right, we need something. We need a connection, right? Let's say user, let's say it's me, right? I want to actually access this server, right? So that I can create this stuff. I need to access it, right? I cannot directly access it. what I need? I needed the SSH connection, right? To get SSH connection within our machine, we need to enable the SSH connection. So we're gonna need to enable it, right? For this machine, we're gonna have a security group. Within that security group, we'll say, hey, have SSH connection, enable the SSH connection, so that user, any other user can connect, is as long as they have the server key. We also gonna create the server key, and when the user have the server key and they have the SSH tool, they can get into our machine. So what else we need? We need the security, security group. And within that security group, we will define what sort of connection that server can have. So SSH connection, first of all, we're gonna give SSH connection in the security group. So first thing first, security group, right? Security group should be outside of their machine. So let's say security group is this, right? And I'm gonna make it easier. Just say security group, security, and security group will have SSH connection, right? If we say security group has the SSH connection, that means any user who has the key for this server and they have the SSH tool, they can actually log in. So there are so many SSH tool. One SSH tool is called git bash, right? Another one is party. So we need to actually have one of them. Either we're gonna download git bash or party, whichever you like, right? In my case, I'm gonna have a git bash, and when this guy will have a git bash, right, he will download git bash and he have a server key. That's when he can get in this Linux server. So also we need a what key, and I am going to create key for this machine. Basically, this machine will have a key. Without the key, no one can access, right? So when we creating this server, we will actually create this key, and with that key, anyone can get in as long as they have the SSH tool like git bash or putty. So this guy needs to download what? First step, he needs to download git bash or putty, right? Let's do this. So go to Google, download git bash. Git bash. Go to this link. I'm going to provide this link in the description, so don't worry about it. So first steps, download git bash, so that you can connect to your server, right? Download for Windows. Download this one and press yes. And once it's download, just install it. Click here and it will pop up for you. Once it pop up for you, just install it. So go next, next. Finish the installation, and it's gonna take quite a little time to install it. And once install it, that mean the user downloaded this tool, so he can actually log in. So first thing is done. So we download our what? This guy download SSH tool, right? SSH connection, SSH tool, SSH tool. So it bash. So this is done, right? First thing is first done. So this is done. I'm gonna finish. So this thing is done. First step is done. Install git bash. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually make the go to AWS and create this server, right? Create this Ubuntu server. It's called EC2 instance, right? Is also instance, right? So we're gonna create a EC2 instance, and this is what the server is, right, in AWS. So log into AWS. If you don't have AWS account, create one. Just say AWS create account, and then let me show you. So it's a AWS account and sign up. Once you go there, click on it. Once you click on it, you say create an AWS account. Give your Gmail or email, whatever you have, put your email address here, and then put a account name. You can choose any account name and verify your email address. Once you click on it, you will get a message from AWS to your Gmail, and then you can verify it there, and they will ask you for credit card because AWS is not free, right? Once you create it, and then say click on it, sign in to existing account, and then click on this sign in using root user. Provide your Gmail here. Let's say I provide my Gmail, and then go to next, put your password and sign in. Once you sign in, you're gonna see you're gonna see something like this. I'm gonna something this something like this page. You're gonna see this page. You're gonna see your username here and where is the server are located. These are the availability zone, right, where the AWS data center is. So when you create your server, they usually stores in these places. and there's many places. Let's say you're in US and close to Virginia, North Virginia, you choose this one, so it creates the database, I mean the servers in your area, in your geolocation, so that the user who is accessing, if they are in this location, they will be easy they it will be easier for them to connect to the server, and it will take less time than you creating somewhere in Singapore, and it will take quite long because these places are different location, and each places have their own data center. The east one, and these are the availability zone here, and these are region, as you can see, these are region. So, and I'm close to North Virginia, I'm going to click in North Virginia. Once you click on it, go to the search and type for EC2, and it says virtual server in the cloud. That means we are creating a virtual machine inside AWS, right? Click on it. Once you click on it, it's a launch instance. You can click on the launch instance, or you can also click over here and it will show you the same diagram to create one. So click on launch instance. Once you click on it, it's asking you for it to name for your server, right? So over here, so whatever we want to name this machine. So in our case, let's say I'm gonna give a name machine, a name. Let's say, okay, I'm gonna pick different name, color here. Let's say my machine name is what? I'm gonna say my machine name is what? Setup. MySQL setup, right? Linux server, let's say Linux server. It's a quite long name. So MySQL Linux server is our what? Our server's name, right? That whatever we are assigning. So go here and give a name. MySQL Linux server. MySQL Linux server. Let's say I'm gonna remove the setup here. I don't need the. Let's remove this one here. So we have a MySQL Linux server, right? This is what we name for our server. Now, also it's a security group, right? If we have SSH, if the security group for this server has the SSH enabled, that means this guy can connect to this server, and as long as he has this key, so he's gonna have this key also, right? And we need to create this key. So this we need to give this key to this guy basically. Now let's create this key, and then this guy could have it. So first thing first, we choose our name, then we choose what kind of operating system we can pick. We have Amazon Linux, Mac OS, and Ubuntu Linux, Windows, Red Hat Linux, this one Debian, and so many other. You can find it from here. In our case, we are working with the Ubuntu because Ubuntu is the most popular one, and most of the server you're using Red Hat and Ubuntu, right? So I am choosing Ubuntu. So basically we're choosing the operating type. So in our case, we're choosing this one, right? So let's choose the Ubuntu. Once we choose Ubuntu Linux, this is the AMI, the what type of Ubuntu is this is, so we choose this version and keep the way it is 64-bit, and then now instance type. So AWS actually is not free, AWS charge a lot of money to run those servers, but this one is free one, 22 micro. If you run this server, you will have only 1 GB of memory, one CPU, and after 700 hour exceed for your free tier eligible phase, then they're gonna charge you every time this much amount every time you run your servers. If it's running continuous running, that's much you will get charged every hour. So the server is not free actually, but that's why I'm gonna show you after you practice everything, delete the servers, and I'm gonna at the end gonna show you how you can delete the server. But I'm gonna choose the free. I'm not gonna choose the free tier one because it's very slow. I'm gonna choose this one, T2 medium, and T2 medium has 4 GB of memory, and it's gonna charge you this much, and this is not free. Choose it. Choose whichever you like, but I would say if you're a beginner, just choose the one, the free tier one. You can run everything here there, but if the application goes kind of big, you cannot use this T2 micro because 1 GB memory is going to be very sluggish and very slow. You cannot do anything. In actual production environment, people go very big, like they use this one, like for the 8 CPU, and then they every hour they put $2, and they can even go far. Look, this one is like, if you go more down, you're gonna see 92 GB of memory, and this one is every hour they charge you this much, and had a 48 32 CPU and 64 GB of memory, and then $1 per hour. That much money you have to give every hour for using these servers. So but if the server is not running, you stop that server, they're not gonna charge you that much, and it's just gonna charge you for the storage and for the compute, the space this taking from AWS. But if the server is continuously running, that's when you're gonna get charged. Choose the T2 micro or the free one, free T2 micro here, and I'm gonna choose T2 medium in my case. Doesn't matter whichever you like, right? Once you go there, now we're gonna create the key pair, right? The key pair I was talking about, this one, this key pair, right? The key, and then we're gonna give this guy. This guy will have this key so that he can actually log in. So let's create the key. So create new key pair and give it a name, key my key. Let's say my key. So with that key, if someone has this key, they can actually log into the machine, right? The machine we're trying to create key pair, and we must save it in the secure location. So I'm gonna save it, so I'm naming it my key, right? I'm gonna create a folder here called my secure, uh, my my key. Let's say my key. So my key, inside my key I will save this key, right? So if I go there, if I see this folder, inside this folder you will have this key that I created a few minutes ago. So this is the key we need in order to log into the server, right? So keep this in a appropriate location. So this key is created, right? We created this key, so I'm gonna do what, I'm gonna tick mark it, not this one. I'm gonna say this is done. This guy also create the downloaded the git bash. This guy, the server key has been created, and server key is actually now to this guy, right? Because we download the server key, right? So this guy has the key right now. So we can actually basically copy this here and then put it here also. So this guy also carries that key. I'm gonna choose different color. Okay, so he has this key. I'm gonna say plus. So this guy has this key. Okay, so this guy holds this key. Now that means he can actually log into the server that we are planning to create. So the key has been created, and then select the key over here. It will automatically select it, and then go down there. Over here, I'm gonna enable it for now. Over here, as you, it's a network setting. This is the security group I was talking about. The security group. This is what is over here, security group. So it says create a security group. In that security group, we are saying allow SSH traffic. So SSH means anyone who wants to connect to our server, they can connect with this SSH tool. This is tool. With this tool, they have the key, right? If they have the key, they have the tool, they can actually connect to our server. That's what we're planning to do. And whoever gonna give this key, if they have this tool, they can connect to what, our servers. So let's do this. I'm gonna actually give it the creating a new group, security group, and allowing SSH traffic, and from anywhere who has the key and the SSH tool, they can connect to what, our AWS server. Now for me, I'm gonna give 15 GB. Let's say 15 GB is, if I give more storage, that mean I can save more databases and so on. You can actually have up to 30 GB for free, right? When you say 15 GB is still under the 30 GB. So yeah, everything looks good. Now you see over here it says instance type, how many server you want to create. If you say 10, it will create the 10 server for you. So we don't want 10 server, we just want one server, right? So click one server and launch instance, and click on instances over here, and you will see it says MySQL Linux server that we initialize right now, and it's getting ready, right? It's not ready yet. It says initializing. When it says initializing status check, that means not yet initialized. When it's initialized, it's gonna say 2 by 2 check pass, right? You're gonna see 2 by 2 check pass. That's when you know this server is initialized. So let's wait for it, and we can refresh it to see if it initialized or not. So just give it a little time and it will initialize. meantime, let me go to there, and we have created the what our key, and this guy has the key. This guy also have the git bash, so that he can connect to the machine. Now this guy is going to create the database for us, the MySQL database, right, without the Docker first. Then we're gonna go to Docker, because we do in Docker, because if we do in Docker, and Docker is movable, you can move one place to one place. But let's say you want to move this entire server one place to one place, it's going to be very hard. Then you're moving a Docker container somewhere else, right? So I think you know what Docker is. That's why you're here, right? Docker is nothing. Docker is like, you will have this virtual box, right, the EC2 instance. Inside that you will have a small computer. It's a container, it's called container. In that container you will have application like MySQL and so on. But then you can actually upload in somewhere else this file, this Docker container, and they will have it, and also so on, right? You can move here and there. But if you want to move this entire EC2 instance somewhere, it is actually hard for us to move, and you have to create another one, move all the files, whatever configuration file and so on. But with the container, Docker container, you can move here and there easily. I think you by now you know what is Docker container is. This is what we were planning to actually do it. But before that, I wanna do manual stuff. I wanna actually create everything without Docker first, then Docker, so you can see the difference, right? So now I'm going to come here and refresh it again. It says 2 by 2 check pass, that means we can connect our Linux machine. So first come here and then say connect. Once you connect, you say EC2 instance connect, you click on here, then it will actually navigate to this page. This is the interface for the Linux, our Linux server. So you can actually clear the screen. This is our Linux, Ubuntu Linux, right? You can do anything. Who am I, right? It will show you which user currently using it. So Ubuntu user is using it. But right now this is the interface I don't like, right? I'm not comfortable with this interface. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this git bash, the git bash we downloaded earlier, right? So, and this is the downloadable link, which I'm gonna provide in the description of this video. So now we have the git bash. We don't wanna use this interface. It looks kind of ugly, right? It's running on our web, the browser. We don't wanna run everything on a browser, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna do the same connectivity with git bash, the SSH tool, right? You can use Putty also. There's many other tool, but I feel very comfortable with git bash. So minimize this. Go to your folder wherever you create your key. Go there and right click on it and says show more option, right? Show more option, click on it, and then git bash, open git bash here, click on it. And then once you click on it, minimize this one, you don't need this one, and go to your browser again. Over here, come to your EC2 instance. Now you're gonna say connect, you're gonna click on connect here again. It's SSH client, connect over here, and then you could just copy this one, right? You copy this one, and you just paste over here this tool. In this tool you have to provide it. Click on the right button and paste it. Press enter. When you press enter, it will ask you to actually connect to your servers. So I'm gonna say yes, and I have successfully connected the machine, right? Now I don't like to see this stuff. I'm gonna clear out the screen. So it's a press Ctrl L. Press Ctrl L, or you can say clear and then press enter. They're gonna do the same thing for you. So now my machine is clear, right? Now my Ubuntu machine is very there is nothing there. If I say who is the user again, who am I, right? It's the Ubuntu user. But Ubuntu user does not have privilege to actually download and do all the modification in the server level, right? So we need to become the super user, the root user. We don't say the super user in Linux, we say root user, right? So to become root user, you just say sudo su. Super do become super user. That's what I'm saying. So enter. Now as you can see, it says root here, right? That means you are no longer a Ubuntu user. You are accessing as a root user. Now you wanna check who am I, enter. You're gonna see root, it says root. Now the user is root. I'm gonna clear it out. Now I know the user is what? The the user is a root user, that means he can do all the things here from here. So we have the git bash and everything. Now let me install the what, MySQL, and we're going to install the php myadmin and apache and so on, so that we can access our database, right? Now what I'm gonna do, to install database, first thing first, we need to update the machine. Every time you want to install package, some sort of package, update your machine, right? It's like the same thing in Windows. When you update something in your machine, we need to update the machine. To update the machine, we say apt update, and then you can say and upgrade -y also. So this thing will upgrade your entire machine. Just update it. You don't have to write the entire lines of code. Just update -y means yes, you're saying yes to everything, right? So I can ignore it. I'll just apt update. It will update the machine. So it is updating machine, right? So first thing first, update the machine, right? So I will say over here, update the machine. uh, Update. Step 1, update the machine. And to update it, simply as simple as that, apt update. But you need to also become a super user first. So become super user, right? First command was sudo su, become super user. So I'm gonna say command syntax. First, update the machine. To update the machine, you say apt update, right? So this will update the machine. This thing is done. This thing is done, right? Now, okay, it should be a little smaller. Okay, now it looks good. So sudo su and apt update, right? This thing is done. Now I'm gonna clear out the screen, so I don't want to see all those stuffs. So press Ctrl L to actually get rid of them. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually install this MySQL first, and then I will install PHP myadmin. As I said, PHP myadmin you need so that you can visually see the database, what the database is, and so everything else. So first install MySQL. So install MySQL, you say install, you say apt install MySQL server. You can say -y, that will skip all the yes no question for you as yes, or you can actually not do this as well. You can just say simply apt install MySQL server, enter, and then you say asking for yes this time. If you would put -y at that time, it wouldn't ask you that question anyway. So press y, it installed the what, it's installing the MySQL for me. So we are initializing the MySQL in our machine. So I'm gonna also write it down for you over here. So apt install MySQL server. You can say -y to skip that option. To install MySQL. So this will install your MySQL in your machine. Now MySQL has been installed. Now I want to check if MySQL has been installed or not. So I can do like which MySQL. It will show me like MySQL is installed here, as you can see. If it says like this, that mean MySQL has been successfully installed on our machine. So I'm going to also write down this for you. So you can use this line. So which MySQL, to check MySQL install or not. Now after that, if MySQL is installed there, MySQL needs to run on that machine. By default, some package doesn't run in your machine. We need to run it, right? To check if it's not running, we can say systemctl status MySQL. Now as you can see, as soon as I write down this and then press enter, it says active running. That means we make sure that MySQL is running in your machine. So Control C to get out of this session. Now to check, we check the status, right? Systemctl status MySQL, to check if MySQL is running or not. MySQL must run. If MySQL doesn't run, that means you cannot do anything with the MySQL, right? The service must run. To check the service, you say systemctl status MySQL. And let's say MySQL is stop. Let's say MySQL is stop. Let me show you how. Let's say if it says inactive, right? If it is in a tab, you need to enable it, right? To enable it, instead of status, you say start and then MySQL, right? You say system etl start MySQL, and that will actually start the MySQL for you. It will say start, but let's say sometime you need to stop also, as you can say stop here also. But for now, as it's running already, we don't have to do anything, right? We already checked like system ctl status MySQL, right? As you can see, it says running, so we don't have to do anything. As long as it's running, we good. So do this, just check it, system ctl status MySQL, to check if it's running. I'm gonna clear the screen. Now we install the MySQL, we don't secure it. After you install MySQL, we need to secure it, right? To secure MySQL, it says MySQL secure installation. We need to write these lines of code, and this will like to secure your MySQL, and where you will define your MySQL like user who can access and not, so on. So press enter. Now it says validate password component can be used to test password and improve security. It checks the strength of password to allow the users to set only those passwords which are secure enough. Would you like to set a validate password component? For now, don't worry about the password or anything. Press enter for now. And then it says remove anonymous user. I'm gonna say also n to remove it, just, or I can say ignore it by press enter. I'm gonna say just, let's say I'm gonna say y. And then it says disallow root login remotely. No, I do want to actually log in remotely by SSH, right? Remember that we actually download SSH, right? So I'm gonna say y. I'm gonna say n for now. And then it says to remove the test database. By when you're installing MySQL, it actually allows you to actually have a test database for you. Do you want to actually remove this database that they created for you? I'm gonna say yes, I don't need that, and just press y again and enter. Now database has been secure and installed properly. So also we have done this. So I'm gonna say what? I'm gonna say MySQL secure installation, right? Installation. I'm gonna give you all the commands so you don't have to actually take notes. Although if you like to take notes for your practice, that's better, I guess. But I'm gonna provide everything in your in our video description. So to secure the MySQL. So now we have actually done all this. This is done. This is also done. This is done. This is done. So these are the steps you have to follow. So now MySQL has been done. Now we need to create a user, right? We're going to create a super user, let's say admin user, who can actually log into the database and see and so on. So create this, we need to know a little bit of MySQL, MySQL syntax, the database syntax. So the database syntax, if you're a database admin or the SQL developer, whatever I'm gonna do is gonna be easy for you. You would by then know this kind of syntax. But if not, I'm gonna show you right now. But you need that syntax to actually create a user in the database. So we are creating the database user because we want to log in to database, yeah, with those login. So I'm gonna clear out the screen. I'm gonna first log into the database what we created. To log into database, we simply say, so you say MySQL hyphen user root hyphen p. That means you want to access the MySQL, right? Enter, just enter again. It's gonna connect to the database, right? We already connected. So that's how you log into your database. So I'm gonna also write it down. Now we are in the database server. As you can see, if it says MySQL like this, that means we are inside the database. We can create a database. Let me create a database for you. So it's a create database. Let's say I'm gonna say DevOps database, and then I say this semicolon. That will create a database in the name called DevOps database. Or you can just say my database, whatever you like. You can put anything you like, as long as you're not putting any space here. You can put any name, and that will create the database for you. So our database is what we're creating, a database called DevOps database. So I'm going to press enter, and I want to see the database. Show databases. Now as you can see, it says DevOps database. Now we have created a database successfully, right? So this will create the database for you, right? And this will be so we have inside this MySQL server and created database. Now I want to also create a super user, right, who can actually create database, modify database, do all those super privileged stuff. So to create the user, I'm gonna say create user, and I'm gonna say, let's say username is admin, right? I'm gonna say the username is admin, single quotation actually, and percent. Ignore it, it's a database admin's work to create the database, create the database user, but for us we are creating to check it, so create the database user, just follow as what I'm doing. Once you do this, it will actually create the user called admin and put the password as 123. So we're creating user and giving the password as 123. With this user we can get into the server, right? So remember the user. So what our username, admin, and password. So I'm gonna also list that down over here so we don't forget that. So let's say let's say db user, username, I'll say admin, right? And db password, I'll say 123, so we don't forget it, right? So this so admin and then 123, and you say enter. And it will show as a query is okay, so there is no syntax error or anything. So we had created the user. Now what we have to do, we need to actually give him permission as a system admin. So you say grant all privilege everything to admin, right? So admin will have every privilege to access this database, create tables, create user, and so on. When we're gonna create this user, we're gonna use this user to actually do the stuff. We're gonna go to the machine, log into the servers with the PHP myadmin, and then create a database and so on. And this is the user gonna do, will be responsible for everything. Basically, we created the sysadmin and give him the highest privilege, right? And that's how you give the highest privilege and press enter. um so now it says a syntax error, right? It says where let me see, where's the syntax error. It says privileges, spelling is probably wrong, right? So let me fix it. Le, so it should be le, not la. So so instead of le, I'll say le. Press enter. Now it says the query is okay, right? So use that query. So I'm gonna actually list out that over here. Also before that I want to do also, so when you actually give the privilege has a table that holds all the data and everything, and we need to refresh that table. So to refresh that table we say flush privileges, and that will actually flush out the table, means whatever we update has made right now is gonna have the impact on that table. So press enter. Now it's done, right? So we actually what we did few things here. Also over here is going to be syntax there, right? So this is going to create the user for you, and now to give access, to give system level access. Also I'm going to delete this. I want to also make sure that I say what I'm doing here. So to create the user, right? And over here to give him super admin, give give to give to give access, super access, right? To give super access basically. So to give super access, you basically use this over here. Now what else we need to do? um, we have done in the database part, so database has been actually finalized. I'm gonna say this has been done, so we don't have anything else for the database side. um, Database is done. Now we need these two things, actually this one and this one, and that's when we'll be able to actually go inside the database with the graphical user interface and view it nicely, right? Right now we don't have the capacity to actually see the database in a nice way. I mean, we can see the database like like show databases it shows up the database, but it's not the actual format that we want to see. We want to see in a nice way in the browser, in a nice way. So I'm gonna actually clear it out, Control L. I can exit out right from for now. Don't worry about exit out. I'm just gonna minimize that and also see like what we're gonna do actually. So we're gonna actually do php myadmin. Let's say I want to actually now do what I want to actually install the php but before that, let me also, I did a lot of things here in the database, right? I give the privilege and everything. Now I want to actually restart the service, right? It's good to restart the service again. So I'm going to exit out from here. I'm going to say uh, systemctl start restart mysql. I can write this, right? Yeah, I think this is systemctl. If you see the status right now, systemctl status mysql, it's running. Even though it's running, we just still want to restart it. So just restart it. As I said, systemctl status start or restart. You say restart, you can say start or restart. So start MySQL. Now it's gonna restart the MySQL service for us again. So restart it. So now restart it. So I'm gonna say restart the service again. Make sure you also have it, because we created the user and grant some access. So it's good to actually uh, give restart the service. Once you restart the service, now we need to actually do one other thing. We need to actually modify the MySQL file to give remote access. These are the steps we need to follow, because we cannot just access the MySQL, right? Because we're gonna do some other things, and that's when we need to actually access. We're gonna access from our browser. So to access our browser, we need to actually modify the MySQL file, right? So to access the MySQL file, there is a simple way you can actually restore the MySQL file. We need to actually open the MySQL file and modify that MySQL configuration file. So I'm gonna just show you right now. So you simply need to actually open with the text editor. So the text editor, I'm going to use the nano, right? And then you need to say, when you need to go to the wherever the MySQL is. So let me go to the MySQL. Let me see where the MySQL is. So cd, let me say ls. If I do ls, it's nothing is there, right? So if I go to the if I know where the MySQL is. Usually MySQL is actually inside the etc file. So etc, so go to etc, right? And press enter, and ls, do ls. Over here many of the file is the system file is there. So we're looking for the MySQL file, MySQL folder, I mean. So to check the MySQL folder, you just go inside. So to go inside, you say cd what MySQL, and you're inside the MySQL right now. So if I do pwd, because you can see I'm inside the MySQL, right? Currently inside the MySQL, and I can also check the file. So I will do, if I'll do ls. Yeah. So basically in this folder we should have a file called same as this name. So go inside this folder, and then you will find this. So go to cd and then MySQL, right? MySQL conf d, enter, ls. As you can see, you will get to see this MySQL cnf folder, I mean file. In this is the file we need to modify, right? The path, this is the path. So you go to etc folder, and then you go to MySQL folder, and you go to this folder, right? Inside this folder you will have this file. So do ls. Once you do ls, you're gonna see the MySQL d and f. So modify this file, right? So if once we modify that file, we'll be able to access it through our browser. So nano MySQL d, open it. Once you open it, go down, right? Go a little down, down, down. Once you go there, it says bind address, right? Just change it to 000, right? Put everything 0, and once you do it, it's a Control O, enter, Control X. That will save the file. Now we need to actually restart the service, the MySQL service once again, right? So to restart the MySQL service once again, we know how to restart the service. So systemctl restart MySQL. I misspell it. Restart. It should be restart. So say system. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back. Just pressing up arrow, and then we go. Just go there and say uh, restart. Press enter. Now MySQL is restarting. So restart the service, right? Um, Before systemctl, I think you need to just do the this. Uh, and that file you need to modify. So modify, right? Whatever the IP address it gives, the bind, right? Bind, uh, the bind, right? bind, and it should be 0000, something like this. So keep in mind. So also I can show you once again. So cat MySQL D CNF. As you can see, this is the where, go up, go up, go up. This is where, so bind address, modify the bind address. So I'm gonna say bind address. So modify the bind address to this, and that will allow us to actually have remote access, right? So that we can use our browser to actually modify, and then restart the machine once again. So if you're I'm gonna clear out the screen. I'm gonna say, system ctl restart restart MySQL. I already restarted the MySQL. I don't have to restart it. So restart the MySQL after you modify the file. Um, if you do over and over, it doesn't matter. You can do more than once. There's no things stopping you to restart the service. But remember, if your database is already running and a lot of user is already there, make sure you restart the service when there is off hour, right? Or then where there is no connectivity, or there is no actual user is connected to your database. That's when you restart the service. It should be an off hour things. Now we have what we have done everything for the MySQL part, right? Now we're gonna install what? We need to install the phpMyAdmin. This part, this is the part uh, we are gonna install the phpMyAdmin. Why we need phpMyAdmin once again? Well, we want to see the database in graphical user interface nicely, right? All the database and so on. So let's do this. Now I'm gonna simply actually execute lines of code which I'm going to provide in the description. You don't have to memorize it. You can Google it also. So just there's nothing to memorize. So it's a apt install. First I'm gonna install Apache, right? Apache. Uh, you can say Apache 2. That will install the Apache, but we're gonna install this two thing at the same time. Let's say, right? To do this same time, you can actually run a command. But for now, I'm gonna just use a command. Use that same command. You can use this like this, right? Install this Apache. This will install, right? But as I said, to install both of them together, we have another simple syntax. So you say install Apache. So these are the things we are downloading, right, in our machine. So these are the things we need in order to actually have a phpMyAdmin in our machine. So make sure you install everything, right? This is installing Apache and PHP, right? These two things at the same time you're installing. We don't have to do manually one by one. We are doing it at the same time. So write down entire code, right? And you can also hyphen y, that will actually download and everything without asking you, hey, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It will ask yes, 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 no, everything. So press enter. Once you press enter, it says the Apache has no installation candidate. Let me see what's the error. So it should be, I think, Apache 2. So yeah, use it as Apache 2, not Apache. Put Apache 2 here because it's a Apache 2 version. Enter. Also, there is some issue that I can see. So it says unable to look at package PHP MB string, right? Spring. So let me modify that also. This should be MB string, not a spring, right? And also it says package PHP GD. It says a PHP hyphen GD. So let me see what I did wrong. So I'm gonna press arrow. So let me fix the first one. First one is gonna be not spring, it should be string, right? String is string. And also PHP zip is fine. The PHP over here, it should be a hyphen there, as far as I remember. And also you would have oops, let me bring it here again. uh, say PHP curl, which is fine. PHP MySQL. So this is downloading a lot of stuff. So it's installing PHP Apache, installing PHP, and this is installing, downloading this package, downloading this package, downloading this package. These all needed to have what, our graphical user interface, and Apache is needed because we are hosting something on our server, and if user needs to actually connect to that server and send request, that's when we need the Apache. That's why we are also downloading Apache. So make sure you install Apache and PHP and press enter. Once you do it, is if it's there is no syntax error, you're not gonna see anything here. Sometimes fixing the syntax is just to read what the error is showing, right? And it will show you a lot of you can fix the issue just checking what the issue, what the syntax error is showing in the screen. Anyway, after it done, we need to actually install the we downloaded the PHP, right? Now we need to install the what, the PHP myadmin. To install the PHP myadmin, before that I also wanna include there here, so before I don't forget. So I'm simply gonna copy it from here. I don't want to type it once again, so I'm just simply gonna copy. Let me paste it here, and I'll say download uh, PHP and Apache, right? Is going this line. So what I'm gonna do actually, let's bring it over here maybe, and this one goes here. So now this will download in PHP. Now let me install the what, PHP, right? We need to also install the PHP. To install the PHP, we'll simply say what? We'll simply say apt install PHP myadmin, and you can say hyphen y, so it will skip it. So let's skip it. So enter it. It's gonna let you download, and press enter again. Wait for it, and it will ask you for password for PHP myadmin. We can simply give a password as 123, for now. Yes, so let's give it a password 123, enter. 123, enter. Now it should be done. So PHP should be installed. So to install PHP, we say what, apt install PHP, right? PHP myadmin. To install PHP my, we were able to install php-myadmin because we downloaded all those package related extension, right? So php mstring and then so on. So and also download the language php that is related to php. So this two line is needed to have the php in your machine, right? Now a few more things we need to do. We install the php. Now we need to actually create a symbolic link for it, for to access, for Apache to work with the PHP, right? This is the one step we need to do. So let's do this. So I'm gonna clear this out again. um, Now you're seeing how many lines of code you need to write and to do this just simple things. In the Docker, it should be very easy. That's why I'm showing the steps to manually do it first. If we know how to do manually, then we would do with the Docker. So now what a last thing, one last thing we need to do is that we need to create the symbol link for this PHP, right? So to create it, you say ln, right, and then as hyphen s as in symbol link, and then user share, and then php share say share like this, right? And then say php my admin, and then you should say var html php, right? php my admin. So basically we're symboling from here to this directory, and when we're going to access, we're going to basically access this file, basically, this html file. Basically press enter. If there's no issue, there is no error, the is going to be automatically fine. But as you can see, it says there is an issue. So it says in file to create symbol link var www.html php myadmin, no such file or directory, right? So the issues I'm making here, the issue is that instead of HTML, I say HMTL. So we need to fix it, right? So just fix it. Go here and say HTML, and this will fix the issue for you. So as you can see, if there is no issue, the symboling will automatically create for us. So the now it has been done. So also I'm gonna copy it and paste it over here for you, so we know like what we did. Create create this symbolic link. So symbolic link has been created. We need to create the symbolic link. Once we create the symbol link, we need to restart the Apache server also, right? The Apache. So to restart the Apache server, is a systemctl restart restart Apache. Now it will restart the service for us, the Apache service. So also to restart the Apache to Apache service. Why we need to restart? Because we made the modification, right? We connect the our Apache to our PHP myadmin by this symbol link. This is the step we need in order to make it work, basically. Now we can actually we are basically done with the most part. We install this one. We install Apache, right? We install Apache, we install phpMyAdmin, and Apache run on what port? Apache run on port 80, right? We also need to open that port also. So in security group we also need what? We also need that port to be opened. So as I said, by default Apache run on port 80, so enable this port 80, right? So port 80, the port 80 should be enabled for us to actually see the database and something those all sort of things we have done. So the database that we created and everything, and we'll be able to have a nice interface to see. We will be able to see all the database files, tables, and so on, because we have configured everything. So this is done. I'm gonna put some green marks so I know it's done. So this one is done, 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 and this one is done. Everything is done except last part. We need to actually open the port 80 in the security group. So let me go to that port. So go to that instance again. So your instance, this instance, right? Go to the security, right? Again, go to click on this security group over here. Once you click on it, edit inbound rules, click on it and add port 80 from anywhere, right? From anywhere, save it. Now this is done. We open the port also. Right, this is done, this is done, everything is done, right, basically. So now this is also done. We install the Apache, right? Now let's access the database. Let's see if we can access this guy as me, right? Can I access to the database without the Linux server? We don't want to get into Linux server, but we want to see the database and modify the database and so on. So now come here and go to your instances, click in the instances over here. Now what I'm gonna do, go to details again, copy this copy this IP address, copy it, come here and then paste it here, and then backslash and say php my admin, enter. Once you press enter, it should give us this interface, php my admin. Now whatever the username and user password we created, we need to give. So admin and 123, so say admin, and then you say 123. Now click on login. Once you click on login, if everything goes right, you will see all the thing. Look, we create the DevOps database in the DevOps database here. Let me create another database in the, yeah, I can create another database over here by clicking new. I'm gonna say DBA, right? I'm going to create, I have created another database called DBA. I can create the database from the graphical user interface, or if I want to use my Linux server here, I can actually can log into my database, right? So how do I get log into my database? As simple as this: MySQL hyphen u root hyphen p. Press enter. Now look, I'm in the database. Now I'm going to create another database called create a database. I'm going to say IT or IT programming. Let's say IT programming. So now press enter. Now another database has been created. If I say show databases, I'm going to see the database here, IT programming. You can also see it from here. Just refresh it. You're gonna see where IT programming database has been created. You can create a table from here too. If you want to create a table, you can simply create a table over here as well. So um, come here, click on it, and as you can see, create a table, new table, right? Table name, so my table, right? Say my table, right? It's a my table. This just name, or let's say, okay, name, it should be varchar. Let's say, if you know the database administration is gonna be very simple for you what I'm doing, but for now, just say now just one table, right? Varchar, or yeah, uh, just have null and so on, go, right? It will create the, it says the column width of integer types is ignored in your database version definition, so don't worry. If I say age, let's say age, I'll just say integer, maybe int, and go now. Create it, maybe how do I see it? I can also query out here, over here, maybe say or maybe SQL, right? Over here you can say create, let me see if the create table has been created. So table has been, table, we didn't create the table, so we can create the table as, so use the database first, use IT, right? IT, use database, go create table, test table, looks good. Go again. You have an error in the syntax. Check the manual that correspond to your MySQL server version. Write syntax to go. Let me remove the go here from now to see if it works. um, okay, so you don't have to use the go here. You good. Now if I click on it, refresh it, right? Refresh it, and as you can see, test table has been created. But this is a tedious process, right? As you can see, it took quite long time for us to create the simple database and everything, right? We don't like this. We don't want to do things like this. It took our entire time. We want to have a simplest way possible, right? We want to actually do everything in the Docker. So and because we want to do Docker, because Docker is easy to ship. Now this database, if you want to ship to somewhere, is going to be very hectic for you to actually transfer the file, transfer this migration. For migration, you have to copy this file, send somewhere else, blah blah blah. But what if we put everything in the Docker, and that Docker will be easier for us to ship somewhere else? So right now, I'm gonna create another machine. Let's say this was our manual machine. Now I'm gonna create a Docker machine. Launch instance. I'm gonna launch another machine called Docker MySQL Docker. Let's say MySQL Docker machine. Anything, and for key pair, I'm gonna use the same key pair, my key, right? Remember the key we created, and then security group, allow the SSH traffic, and everything should be as it is. Just add the more capacity here. For is T2 micro, let's keep it T2. Because I'm gonna run container. Oh, I need more storage, so medium. Once it's done, I'm gonna simply just one instance launch it. First, let me give you a brief knowledge on Docker. What is Docker? So we will have a Linux over here. Let's say I'm gonna I'm gonna go a little down here. So this everything is done, right? We have this is called manual approach. Let's say manual, this is without Docker, the manual approach. Now we're gonna do everything in the Docker. So let me give you a visual representation what is a Docker, right? So we have the Linux machine, what we saw right now, right? I'm gonna change different color. Basically, I can let's use white color actually. Let's say this is our server, right? We install our everything here, our our MySQL, Apache, and everything. But it is inside a server. And to migrate this server, we need to also migrate these files and so on, right? But what if we would have a small server in this, right? We'll have a small server, virtual server, as a virtual box, right? Small virtual box like this, little computer and little computer, and we manage everything inside them. Let's say we manage everything inside them, right? Let's say we'll have a Docker, we'll have a MySQL running here, we'll have PHP running here, we Apache running here. Now three things, right, interconnected. Now we can actually simply, you can simply have them, right, and take it somewhere else, right? If you want to take it somewhere else, we can simply take it somewhere else like this, somewhere, if you easy to migrate to some other things. Now this little computer is known as Docker container basically. So to install Docker, to make a Docker container, we need to install Docker in our machine. So that's what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna have in Docker install, Docker container install. Docker container is just nothing, just a small machine, let's say, right? A small virtual machine. In this Linux, inside the Linux, we'll create a little computer, and this computer called container. And inside this computer, we're just gonna install the PHP main, MySQL, and so on, so that if we need to install, if we need to move somewhere, we can easily move that, right? And Docker makes it easy. There is something called Docker Hub. You can upload your Docker image there, and then from that image someone can create the container once again. So that's a different session is coming, which I'm gonna have a DevOps full scale zero to hero DevOps course, which is coming for you guys. I'm gonna cover everything about Linux, what you need to learn, basic to advanced, everything about Linux, everything about Docker, and so many other topics is gonna come in picture. You're gonna see and you're gonna love it. So stay tuned for that as well. Anyway, I'm just gonna actually go to MySQL with the Docker. So let me just see this if it's ready. So I'm gonna refresh it here. Wait. Okay. So this machine Docker is ready, as you can see, 2 by 2. So let me connect this machine now. So because we use the same key, I'm gonna close it because we don't need this computer anymore, this machine. So close it, right? So this is done. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove this one. I don't need. What I have to do, I'm gonna actually go to my folder, this folder key, the same key I used, right? The same key I and launch another machine. You can use your one single key to launch multiple server, multiple instances. So click on open git bash here. Now once you go there and go to your over here, come to your my Docker machine, click on connect, go to SSH client, copy it, and then just paste it over here. Actually, once you place it over here, press yes. Now has been connected. Your Docker machine is connected, right? I'm gonna clear everything out. Now this is another machine, right? This is this machine. This is this server. We were working with this server manually. Now we're gonna use the Docker server, so I can show you the difference, right? So now Docker is there. Now first thing first, we need to actually become a super user. So sudo su, or you can, if you don't write sudo su every time, you need to write down sudo. You don't want that, right? So I'm gonna say sudo su. So enter. Now what do you have to do? We have to update the machine, right? apt update. So apt update the machine. Once it's update, you gone. So first step is update, right? Just like this. Now what I'm gonna say, with Docker, right? We're gonna do with the Docker, and instead of this all, I'm gonna remove this. I'm just gonna remove all this, right? Now we have done this too, sudo su apt update, right? These two things is done. Now our machine is ready up. Now we need to install Docker first. So to install Docker, right, we're gonna do the same things. We're gonna do the same thing, but in this time, let me just copy, yeah, let me draw it from the beginning so you don't get confused. So let me have a server here. So Ubuntu Linux server, like just like before. So this is our server, right? Linux server, Linux server on AWS, right? It's definitely an AWS server, right? This is Linux Ubuntu, let's say Ubuntu server. And where we're gonna have two small computer, right? Two computer, right? Um, and they will have what they known as a container, Docker container, right? So first thing we need to have installed Docker, right? In our first Linux. So in the Linux operating system, what we need, this is the Linux operating system, right? Inside that we're gonna install something called what? Docker. Inside a small container, we're gonna create what? Our MySQL and PHP, PHP Now these two things will run in the same network, right? I'm gonna make it smaller. Small. This one should be smaller, and this should be within the same network, right? Let's say in my case, we're gonna name the network as what? Um, can put anything as network, or we can actually skip the network part. Yeah, let's skip the network part. But I don't want to make it complicated for you guys. So what I'm gonna do here actually is make it smaller. So it, yeah, we don't need this network part for now today, because we are showing the basic way to actually install the Docker container. Network and everything will be shown on my DevOps course that comings, and everything will learn what is network, what is a bridge network, and so on. For now, just stick to what I'm trying to show here. Just the I'm gonna have one computer install MySQL, and another computer will have the phpMyAdmin, and that to combine will have our phpMyAdmin and MySQL showing whatever we did here. We took so many steps here, and we're gonna do the same things in the Docker container this time, and without so much work. So let's do this. So first thing first, become a super user and update the machine, and then install Docker, right? I'm going to clear out this thing. Install Docker, so apt install docker.io. That will install the Docker for you. As you can see, it's asking do you want to continue. I'll say yes, I want to continue. Now Docker is downloading. So first thing first, install Docker, right? So I'm gonna say over here apt install docker.io. Let's hyphen one to install. So Docker is installed, right? Our We have chosen our Linux environment. uh, Docker.io. We have chosen our Linux environment. Why is not changing the color? uh, yeah, let me choose the color again. So Linux has been or Linux it has been installed on our machine, right? When we are launching the EC2 instance, and then also we install what? Docker in our machine. So Docker is done. Now what else we need to do? We need to actually okay, I'm gonna make into this should be white actually. Okay, so Docker has been installed. Now what? Now we need to install one more other thing. It's called Docker Compose, right? So Docker Compose we're gonna actually install. So to install Docker Compose, is a apt install Docker compose v2. That will install the Docker Compose for us. This is also required to actually launch these two machine, right? So these two works together. So we're gonna show what is Docker Compose in our my DevOps course, that is coming, where you're gonna see the use of Docker Compose and so on. But just for now, just know that in order to launch MySQL and our phpMyAdmin, we need a Docker Compose file. So to create this file, we need something called Docker Compose. This one we need in our machine. So we need to also install it. So you say over here to install what? Docker Compose. And this is required because without this we cannot actually um, write down Docker Compose file. So this is done. This has been done. This has been done. This has been done, right? This is also done. Now what we need to do, whatever we did, user and so on, so many things we did. What we're gonna do, we're gonna create a file, right? It's YAML file. In that file we're going to define what we're going to do. So to simple to create the that docker compose file, you're going to say nano, you're going to say docker compose, right? And then YML. So docker compose file you can create like this. So once you type it, just press enter and you will see this page. Over here you need to define the version of the docker compose, right? So I'm gonna say version, right? And you're gonna say what the version. So there's a many versions. So the version I'm gonna use like 8.3.8. This is the version. There's latest version is coming up. After you write down version, you need to type the service. So service are the things we gonna do, right? Service are the thing. MySQL is a service, PHP is service. So those are the services we wanna do. So say services. And what are the service? So we're gonna have the MySQL service and PHP MyAdmin, right? Two of the service we are focusing. So put two space 1 2 3 1 2, and then you say what MySQL, right? And another service. What was another service? PHP MyAdmin, right? PHP MyAdmin, right? This is the two service. In the first service, you define. So go inside this file MySQL, and we gonna have an image, Docker image. So it's an image, MySQL. That's what it's gonna do. It's gonna go inside. It's gonna actually go to Docker Hub and look for this MySQL package, that image actually. So that image will download it from the Docker Hub. It's download from online. That MySQL, that small computer is downloading from online. It's called MySQL, right? And MySQL, they have a, you can download so many images. You have MySQL images, you have Ubuntu images, you have Docker inside Docker images, you have a Linux, you have Chef images, you have Terraform images, so many images out there. For now we are focusing on what? MySQL. That's why we are downloading MySQL image. That's how you download it. You put it over here. And what version of MySQL, you can say the latest version of the MySQL is going to download from Docker Hub, and it's free. It's going to go to Docker Hub and download MySQL, and that's how you make it download MySQL. Now we also want to actually, let's say after something computer restart, we want to automatically rerun the MySQL, right? So we need to say restart. In that restart, we're gonna simply say always. So always restart your machine every time. Always restart your MySQL every time the computer restart. That's what we are saying basically over here. Now we need to do a few things. We wanna actually set up the password, right? The environment and the password for the MySQL and so on, right? So the password we give last time was 123, right? So the same password, we say 123. That's the password we're gonna give. Now this the MySQL usually runs on a port, a specific port. It's called port 3306, the default port. You can put different port. For now, we need to actually put on the port 330 port to actually demonstrate how it works. So go inside environment and then press this and say 2 space 1 2, and then just like this, and you say the port 3306. So this will actually give you the allow you to actually connect to the port. So basically um, the let me make it easy for you. So this is the container, right? Container will have a opening, let's say a port, let's say 3306, let's say some port, let's say 3306. And by default no one can get into this machine. If you have access to this machine, is this Linux server, that doesn't mean you have access to this machine. You cannot, you will have access to this machine, but you don't have the network access, network connectivity access to. And the network connectivity access you can give by your port, or when you open a port, a specific port, that's when with that port, this port 3306 also can communicate. 3306. So when someone comes to this port 3306 in this server, they can actually navigate to this port here. So this is called binding, right? We're gonna bind this 3306 to this 3306. I know it's gonna maybe a bit confusing, for you. For now it's gonna be very confusing, but for now just stick to it what I'm doing. So 3306 is the port for the Linux server, and 3306 is for the container. They work together. If they are not connected, they cannot communicate with the database. But we need to communicate with the database from the outside, right? From the PHP user gonna come to PHP and they're gonna go to database. That's when we need to give the what the ability to connect, right? So user gonna come to the port 80, right? Remember port 80. Then that is gonna be connected to this. So if this also open the port 3306 for this Linux machine, that can be mapped to this container. If they work together, that's when the user can get in. So that's what we're doing. First is the machine, host machine port, and you're binding with our container port. So this is the port for database connectivity, right? So always remember that. So they are kind of, when they are connected, they mean you can get inside on this container for the database access. That's what we're doing basically. So this just take a note that we need this in order to connect to the container for the database, nothing else. So this things you write like this. So just you put a go inside this my root one, and then once you're done with the port, go to next line here, and then I'm gonna define by my what PHP. Now I'm gonna download my image for what PHP my admin. So to download it, I'm gonna say image again, PHP my admin, PHP my admin latest. You can find it on the Docker Hub too. Like say I'm saying Docker Hub. As you can see PHP, type PHP. My internet quite slow today, that's why it's taking quite a long time. Let me just, okay. So if you type PHP my admin, whatever you get, you can use it over there. I'm using this one basically, PHP my admin. Copy this one here, copy, and you just need to paste it over here, PHP my admin. Anyway, so when you do latest, after that you need to actually also do the same thing, restart to always. So go there inside and say start always, and then you give environment, and then you give the environment. So just like two space inside, go inside the environment, one two space, right? And so php my admin, php my admin host, and say host, right? For host, give say which host do you want to use. We want to use the MySQL, right? This is what we want to connect with our php my admin, right? Just say it, right? Just my, so whatever you use over here, just put it over here, as simple as that. And this is the password we need to connect to the database. Remember that that's the password we're putting over here basically. You can put also database, you can create the database here too, but let's not worry about it. Let's not make it complicated for now. And what port we want to work on. So let's say I want to connect with the port 8080, right? I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna say go inside the port 1 2 and then say port 8080, and then the port 80, basically port 80. So what I'm doing, I'm this is the container port, and I'm mapping to port 8080. I can actually map it to port 82, right? 82, that mean the Apache servers that will have and for the phpMyAdmin will be mapped to this. This is the container port, and this is the my host port. So basically this will have what 80, port 80, right? Let's say, and this will have port 80. I can map them just like this, port 80, port 80, and then 80 like this. But let's say this port, my host machine is using port 80 right now, right? I can actually put this thing also. So this port gonna use it, right? So I'm gonna say port 80, let's say port 80, port 8080. So port, the container port, this one is gonna be connected the my server port, server machine port. So this, so they are mapped basically. That's what I'm doing here basically. You can do 8080 and 8080. So let's for now let's say port 8080. So when I'm gonna access it, we're gonna use this port, because this is the host machine port. I hope this is clear for you guys. If not, this is not clear, we are having our DevOps and everything about port and port mapping, network, and so on. I'm gonna discuss this. This is gonna come very easy for you guys. But for now, just follow it. Follow these lines of code to install the PHP and MySQL in your computer. Control O, enter, Control X. Now ls, the file has been created. Now I need to run it, right? In order to run this, now if I check if I have any container right now, I can do docker ps hyphen a. There is no container right now. Container means this is a machine, right? And this machine has not had been created yet. We define it how to create it, and nano docker compose. Remember, this is the file we created everything. We define first, we define the database container, and then we define the what php container, right? So now we want to create the container, right? Now to check the container, as I said, docker ps hyphen a will show you all the container. Right now we don't have any container because we haven't created the yet. We define it in the docker compose file, but we haven't created. To create the container, we say docker compose up hyphen d. Now press enter. It says service MySQL additional property my root password is not allowed. So let's see what we did wrong. So nano docker compose file, probably password. Okay, so password, so it should be environment. Actually we need to actually put the environment here also, environment, right? And then enter, and then just go inside egg 1 2. You are all set. So inside the environment we defined the password basically, right? So control o, enter, control x. So we now let's run the again. So docker compose up hyphen d. Now it says did not find expected key. Let's see what's going on. Docker compose up hyphen d did not find the expected key. Let me go to the nano. So we made some mistakes here, so let's see what the mistake is here. So environment MySQL root password, we provide the password, the everything is there. So we are also missing one thing. We're missing the volume also. We need to create the volume for the database. We need to also include that here. So go there. Let me add the volume here maybe. So go there, volumes, right? So let's say I'm going to create a volume. So go inside the volume 1 2 MySQL, let's say MySQL database, and I'm gonna get the var lib MySQL. Now whatever the in the container, the MySQL will reside in this folder, and we are copying this thing and putting in our host machine this folder. And this is this is inside our Linux over here, Ubuntu, but is inside the Docker folder. So when you go to Docker folder, we'll see MySQL database. There is a call folder called MySQL database we're creating, and we're copying everything from here and mapping it over here. So everything we created over here, it will map to host machine also over here, so that data persist in both place, in the host and also the container. This is one thing also. One other thing I want to do, I need to actually depends on it. So if I say what this php depends on, this means MySQL, right? So do the depends on, depends on, then you say what MySQL, right? Volume, mention the volume here, volumes here. Okay, let me see. Service, right? Go along with the service, volumes, and what the volume we name, right? 1 2 MySQL database. Now let me run the file again. So enter control x, docker compose up. Now it says line 6 did not find expected key. So let me go to line 6, nano docker compose. So let me run it, let me read it. So my services, first thing is services, right? After version is services. So MySQL, inside the MySQL will have image, and MySQL image, restart, right? Environment will have the MySQL root password, right? So make sure that, let me see the keys, if I have appropriate 1 2, so this is good. And we have the port here also. Should be the ports should be this was, it was missing actually. So first you will MySQL, inside MySQL you will have image, you will have a restart, you will have environment, we have a port, we have a volume. So volume looks like it's not part of the, also put one space like this. So image, restart, volume, port, and volumes. In the volumes you define the volumes, In the port you define the ports, in the environment you define the password for the database, and then restart, you restart it, when you need to restart, it always restart your container if your machine is actually shut down. So this is not required for now, we can actually, it's optional. um, and then the image you want to get it, so image is nothing, from image it become container basically. So we need to download this image first. What is image, how we can turn image into container, and so on, this will come in my DevOps course. But for now focus on this, just understand what we are doing. We are having MySQL here, one service, another service phpMyAdmin, and we are creating our what? Our MySQL database with phpMyAdmin, so that we can see the database and so on. So right now I'm going to say Control O, enter Control X. Now let me rerun this again. So I'm going to say Docker compose up hyphen D, enter. Now it says the service volume must be a list. Let me see what the issue I did. So now volume must be a list. So as you can see, it says it needs to be a list. So how do we make list? Simply say this will become list. So just like this. So now error has been resolved. So meanwhile I'm troubleshooting it, you can see what we need to do. So always this is list, so list start with this dash always. And when you add port you need to also put dash. When you put a volume, more volume, you need to put this dash also. So now we added this. Now Control O, enter Control X. Now let me do the Docker compose again. Docker on like yes Docker compose up hyphen D, enter. It says still there is an issue, depends on is not allowed. So let me go there, nano docker. You know what, I can actually remove this depends on. I don't need to actually put the depends on actually, so let me remove it because I'm using this RMA host. It should be fine for it. Let's see. I'm going to press enter control, oh, enter Control X. Now let me run it again. Docker compose up hyphen D, enter. As you can see, it's creating the container for us, phpMyAdmin and MySQL. So we troubleshooted all the issue that we had, and we were able to actually launch to computer. Now it's creating. Once it's create, we're gonna check if it's this computer is created or not. So we just run the file, like the compose file. So uh, docker compose file, we created the file, right? We created the file, we executed the file. How we execute the file? Um, simply saying docker compose up. um, Now as you can see, it says pull phpMyAdmin pull SQL pull. Now let me see what is the issue here. So this container is created. Now let me check the container. Control L, docker ps hyphen a. As you can see, these two container, one container is two container has been created. As you can see, php myadmin image. This is the container name, right? Ubuntu myadmin, and this is MySQL. Now let's check if the two computer has been created. Now we have successfully created this one and created this one with this docker file, right? So this less steps here, right? Where I'm gonna say just go there, and as you can see, just nothing, just to create the compose docker compose file, docker compose file. To execute the docker compose file, to you say docker compose hyphen up hyphen d to run the containers at once. So this two thing we did. uh, Now how many did we did over here, how many steps we did here, now how many steps we did here, like very less, right? We also create the docker file, right? This file, and that file had so many lines of code, right? And that's what the docker YAML syntax is. You need to learn the YAML syntax, which we're gonna cover on my upcoming DevOps course. But for now, you know what we did, right? It was very simple, and this two computer is running. This code to computer, and to check how the computer is running, you say just You said docker ps hyphen a. It shows if it's, how many containers are there. Shows to check all the containers. Basically we had the two services, right? This the two computer created. Actually each service is assume as a computer basically. So two container has been created. Now I want to go inside the one computer, like this one, right? How do I go inside? I say exec I say docker exec hyphen itd, and then I'll say the name of this container. Actually copy it, paste it over here, and then you say bin bash, and now you are inside this database, right? You say remember, and the password we give, remember the password we give, what the password we give, 123, right? Remember 123 we give the password, I guess 123, enter. As you can see we're inside the database. Now create a database, create database my docker db, let's say. Now I have created a database. Now I want to go, now I'm going to also list it out how you get inside the container. So to go inside your container, now we got inside your container, we have seen the database. Let me see the database, show databases. As you can see my docker database has been created. Now I want to see also a php myadmin, that other, the I'm going to exit out from here, exit out, exit, let me exit out. Also I'm going to control p, control q, so get out of this the container without closing the container. So to get out the container you say what, you say control you say uh, control p, control q to get out the container, right, without stopping it. When you stop the container, that means the database is going to stop. Never ever stop the container. To say if it's, to check if the container running, you say docker ps, it's gonna show you the if container running. You'll say five, up to 5 minutes this machine is running, this two machine is running, and that two machine having their two own separate application. One is having php, right? Another computer is having MySQL. Why I'm saying computer come over and over, to give you an idea that docker itself is a virtual computer, a small virtual machine, let's say, and they have their own packages you want to install inside them. That's what we did. First we did MySQL in one, another one we did the php we checked the MySQL, we got inside the MySQL, which we connected with the php. Now let me go to the php and check if we, whatever the database we created, we can we see it. So now go there and go to the docker, enable your, go to security, come here, remember the port we open, we define port 8080, enable this port over here, port 8080 from anywhere, save it. Basically in inside this nano docker compose over here, this is the host, here host, and this is the this php's port, right? We have just mapped it. So that means these two things, same thing basically, is mapping to one another. Now let me copy this let me go here and go to details, copy this public, right, public ip address, and paste it here, and then I'm gonna say what, I'm gonna say the port 8080, and once I do port 8080, it should show me my php myadmin. If it's not showing, I need to troubleshoot it. I need to see what's the issue basically. um, Let me see if the port that enable is enabled or not. Yes, port 8080 is enabled, right? Now let's see what's going on. I'm gonna say, oh, enter control x, docker ps. They are running up in 7 minutes, which mean there's not issue, but still I cannot access over here. So what's going on? So if I do okay, one other thing I want to enable here, what this, let me close this one, I don't need this one, not this one. Let me go to security here, port 8080 is enabled. hmm I don't need to add port 80 because port 80 we're not using port 80, right? So port is not necessarily to open. So I'm just using it just for checking purposes. So if I use port 80, it's not gonna do anything because we're running the container in the port 80. So delete this. We don't need this one here. Which one? This one is this port. This one. Delete this one. Um, Let me see the instance. My Docker copy HTTP uh, paste 8080. Oh, okay, I don't know why first time it didn't work, but as you can see, it worked this time. So password, put root as always for Docker, and then we put 123, the password we used in the over here, nano Docker compose. Over here, the password you put, right? Same password you put over here and login. Now look, the database we created over here is there, and we can actually create another one. To create another one is a new database and just a simple give a database. My another db create. Now as you can see, my another db is created. I can also get into the machine inside that container. If I want to go inside the container, how do I do? Go in. I say docker exec hyphen it. I'll say the container name, which is the container name is this one. You can give a container id too. You can copy the container id or container name, whichever you like. So I'm gonna say Ubuntu, right? And then MySQL one, and then the bin dash. Now I'm gonna say MySQL, right? Hyphen u root hyphen p, enter again, and wait, the password 1 2 3. I don't. Okay, so password 1 2 3. So now if I want to check the show databases, no, look, the new database I created, my another database. Oh, one last thing I want to actually show you guys before I leave today. I want to actually delete this machine, these two machines. So go there, come to instance state and terminate them. If you don't terminate them, they're gonna charge you. So just delete this machine right now. Just select it and come here and terminate this and refresh it. Now it's gonna say shutting down like this, and then eventually it's gonna say terminated. Once they terminate it, they're no longer gonna be charging any money, and it's gonna eventually remove from here actually. So refresh it, and after like 1 or 2 minutes later, you no longer see this machine anymore. And meanwhile this connection is going to be also broken. As you can see, it's get out of from the machine, and then yeah, so on. So yeah, anyway guys, this is what I want to show you guys, so that you guys don't get charged for the server that you're using right now. Every time you want to practice, open a server, practice, and delete it right after it, so that they don't charge you. Yeah, that's it guys. I hope you guys liked it, and please share with your friend. That will help them also and help me, and so yeah, that's what we can do for this world. Yeah, all right guys, take care, bye bye.